Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 8th of November 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. So always a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so also just before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page here, which we update on a daily basis. And I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here for yourselves, guys. So yep, feel free to check us out here on jfdbank.com and click on the research page right here. But for now, guys, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE100. Now, I looked at the FTSE recently, and basically what I was telling you guys to keep an eye on this barrier right here, because this is going to be our target, the 7,440 zone. So 40, 41, roughly around there. So basically, we did have a nice push higher, but as you can see, yesterday the index kind of failed to reach that area, and it kind of sold off after that. So in a way, everything is kind of still looking quite positive here for this index, because we do remain above this upside support line, the short-term a bit of a tentative one, upside support line taken from the low the 3rd of October. Now, and as you can see by the arrow drawn here, this is the kind of the scenario that we're keeping in mind. So in a way, even if it decides to slide lower a little bit here, as long as it remains above the 7,350 territory, then yep, we will continue targeting the upside. So, and the upside initially, we still want to see that test of the 7,440.41 area, because if it gets a test here and if it gets a hold up, and the bulls, let's say, or the buyers are struggling to push the index above this level, then we could be maybe seeing a bit of correction then at that point. But again, let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, let's see how it's going to play out near this area. But if this area here, this barrier near the 7,441 zone, if it breaks, then yep, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could aim for much higher levels. But again, for now, looking at the cash index, even we are slightly below the yesterday's closing price. So in a way, that's kind of supporting the idea here of a possible little correction before another leg of buying. But then again, we will be very careful here. We'll see if it actually wants to travel all the way here towards this 7,351.50 zone, because it might not even do that. It just could reverse somewhere around here and then push back to the upside. So if it starts dropping below the 7,351, then we will remain somewhat neutral around here, because for us to consider the downside, well, ideally we would like to see a drop below the 7,251 area, but we will start considering lower areas if we see a break of this upside line. So keep your eyes on this one. Silver. Now, finally, for 2 days I was talking about silver, and basically I was telling you guys to keep an eye on this upside support line and this 17.51 zone, because we needed to see a nice, good, clear close below this level before kind of examining lower areas, and this is what we finally got. So we got our break here. and it dropped it traveled towards our target here, the 17.15 zone, but even overshot it a little bit and kind of just fell shy of a few points from reaching the low of October 1st near the 16.87 zone. So that's quite interesting here right now. So in a way, how we could play this one out is, in a way, looking at the price structure right now, there is a possibility we could see a bit of a bit more declines here. We could see this one sliding a little bit lower, maybe testing again, testing this 16.87 zone, and then rebounding back to the upside for a bit of correction. So for now, probably will remain very careful and cautious here. In a way, yes, this could continue drifting lower. Of course, let's not exclude this scenario where we could see silver maybe correcting right now, and then let's say correct, and then moving back down later on. So to be honest, at this point, we will remain somewhat neutral here, and or cautiously bearish, I would say, and target the 16.87 zone. So, and then we'll take it from there, because in a way, if we get a drop below the 16.87, then this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could aim for even lower areas. So for now, guys, let's see how this is going to play out. But if we do get a drop below the October 1st low here, then the next potential area of support could be around here. And let me just quickly put this one on the chart, and that's roughly around the 16.51 zone, marked by the low of the 13th of August. So keep your eyes on this one. Could be quite interesting, but again, don't forget that we could see a bit of correction here at some point, but if, let's say, the commodity struggles to get back above the 17.15 zone, then yep, we could see another round of selling here. So and for those who are more on the cautious side, you could just wait for a drop below the 16.87 and then target lower areas. In terms of the upside, well, ideally, to be honest, we would like to see now a push back above the 17.51 and a push above this upside support line before getting excited about higher levels. Or in a way, if we look at this chart, we can see that probably this could be that level, this could be that barrier after which we could consider higher levels again, and that's the 17.66 zone. So let's keep an eye on that one. Gold. So gold, and worked out perfectly, and this is what I was talking about in my previous videos where I was covering gold. Basically, after we got our slide here to the downside, after we got our drop below the 14.95, we did get a bit of retracement, so that worked out nicely. You can see by the arrow that I've drawn here, but the only thing is that I didn't expect that it will overcome this barrier straight away like that. So the 1475. So okay, so that's we did reach our target, but we even actually overshot it and almost reached our other target near the 1459 zone. So just fell shy of a few points from hitting that, and now you can see that the commodity is retracing back up here. In a way, if it continues to trade below the 1475, then yep, it has a good chance to drift back down. But to be honest, again, here we will target this territory, the 1459 for now. We'll have a look at how this is going to play out near this area. If it starts dropping below this, then yep, the next target to consider it could be around the 1453 mark, and that's the high of the 18th of July. And yep, we'll take it from there, guys. But for now, we'll keep an eye on this scenario because I mean, at the if it still is under pressure here, unless everything changes rapidly in the equity markets, then yep, gold could skyrocket here back to the upside and maybe push back towards the 1495 zone, because this is the level from which we will start considering now higher levels. At the same time, the price would be placed above all of its EMAs, and this could kind of support here all the EMAs, of course, on the 4-hour chart, and this could support like a bit of upside here, maybe towards the 1520 territory, roughly around there. So, but again, we'll keep this in mind for now, because the main scenario is more to the downside in a way. Some could also draw themselves here a nice downside resistance line here, so this could just be that extra kind of maybe confirmation for those who like to be on the riskier side a little bit. If we get a push above this downside line, then yes, we could maybe consider higher levels. The only thing is, as I said, for us to get comfortable with higher levels, a push above the 1495 level is required, because at this point here, if we do get a break of this downside line, all this kind of territory is kind of still a tricky one, because at any point it could reverse back to the downside, and because this area here would be a perfect area to wipe out some of the traders, because probably a lot are looking at this downside line as well, and if we a lot of those traders could be entering here on a break and aiming for higher levels, but then if this suddenly reverses back down, this could, like I said, where it could wipe out some of the traders. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Jumping into a few pairs now very quickly. USDCHF. So after we had a nice reversal here in the beginning of November, here on the 3rd of November, the pair started drifting higher, and what's more important, it managed to break above this downside resistance line. So this downside resistance line is taken from the high of the 3rd of October. So we managed to break that one, even though it was a bit of a tentative one, but nevertheless we had this one on the chart previously. So so that's wonderful. You can see that the pair traveled all the way, and let me just put this one on the chart. So yesterday the pair traveled all the way here towards this level right here, near the 0.9975 territory, where it found resistance and then slid back down, but kind of remained above this downside line. So in a way, this downside line for now acts as a nice support zone. Let's see if the pair can rebound back up here and push higher. Now, for us to get a little bit more comfortable with the further upside here, ideally we would like to see a push above the 0.9975. At this point, even though yes, we are balancing above this downside line still, it could be a bit of a tricky one here, because it might travel higher, maybe hit this upper bound of the Bollinger Band, and then reverse back to the downside. So that's why we'll wait for a push above the 0.9975 level first before targeting slightly higher levels. By slightly higher levels, I mean for example, the first one to watch is going to be the high of 15th of October near the 0.9996 zone. Just slightly above that, we do have that psychological 1 level, which also could be a nice target. But again, for now, keep your eyes on this barrier right here, the 0.9975. This is only after a break of that one that we will start considering slightly higher levels. In terms of the downside, we'll take well, I wouldn't say maybe a conservative approach, but a very probably careful approach. The 0.9909 area, roughly around there, because if we see a drop below this, this would also, of course, place the rate below the downside line, below all of its EMAs here on the 4-hour chart, and below these lows that we saw on the on Wednesday, and then this could lead towards further declines, and in a way maybe even we could start targeting these lows here that we saw or should I say the lowest point of November. That said, still, if we do get that drop, if we do get that slide from here, for example, from the 0.9909, one should remember that, or should just maybe probably keep in mind that we do have a little tentative upside line here that could kind of put some sticks into the wheels here of a bicycle. So basically, guys, this could be that little kind of obstacle that the pair would need to overcome first before kind of targeting the lowest point of November, the current lowest point of November, I would say. So for now, guys, keep your eyes on this one. Everything's kind of looking interesting here, but we need to see a push above the yesterday's highs before examining here higher levels. GBPUSD. Now, this is quite interesting, and this is what I talked about yesterday. So to be honest, I keep talking about this one for quite a while now, because it's quite I do like these patterns, the falling wedges or rising wedges, and of course they tend to, according to the technical analysis books, they tend to break to the upside, but before, or should I say, even if we see a break of the of one of the sides of the of the veg, still there is either a resistance or a support level that needs to be confirmed. So in this scenario here, where we have a falling veg, of course, in a way it would like to probably break to the upside, but for us, you see, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna wait for a break of this upper side of the falling veg, but ideally just for that extra confirmation, a push above the 1.8736. That's for now, of course, the 1.8736. This is the level that we will need in order to aim for higher levels, because in a way, if the reason why I'm saying for now, because in a way this pair could continue drifting inside this veg, and kind of if we do see something like that, then maybe even the breakout point could shift a little bit here lower. So but again, at this point in time, this is the level that we're keeping an eye on, the 1.8736. And if we do get the break above that, then yep, we will aim for higher levels. In terms of the downside, still the same level remains, the 1.85. A drop below this could lead towards slightly lower areas, and by slightly lower areas, I mean this upside support line, because don't forget that overall, from the kind of more of a medium-term perspective, we are still trading above this upside support line taken from the low of the 30th of July. So keep that in mind, guys. Jumping into another GBP pair now, GBPUSD. So again, it kind of contradicts a little bit here, because on one hand you have a possibility here to move higher on GBP Aussie, but on the other hand, GBPUSD here is kind of flirting with its key area of support near the 1.28 zone, and in a way, this is the idea that we've got here. This is the idea that we've posted yesterday. If we do see a drop below this 1.28, then we will consider slightly lower areas. We'll aim for the 1.2707, which is near the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, and it's near the high of the 11th of October. So in a way, all this is kind of supported by the fact that the US dollar is slightly on the stronger side right now. So in general, the US dollar had a fantastic week this week. So yep, that's why, guys, in a way, we could see a bit of declines here. So that's why we're not dragging this one too much to the downside. We're not pushing this one drastically lower, but the whole kind of weakness of the pound right now and the strength of the US dollar this week. So all this kind of could pour into GBPUSD, kind of dropping a little bit and maybe targeting this 1.2707 zone. So for now, keep your eyes on this one. That's why we do have a tight stop loss, just in case the suddenly reverses back to the upside. And if it does reverse back to the upside and pushes above the highs of yesterday, and let me just put this one on the chart very quickly. So around here, around the 1.2878, if we do get a push above this, then yep, we will aim for a little bit higher, but higher levels. But we do have a little downside resistance line here, taken from the high of the 21st of October. So this is that little obstacle that the pair could hit initially, but and then of course then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do after. But for now, everything's kind of leaning more towards the downside. EURCAD. Now, something relevant for today, we do have the Canadian employment figures coming out later on, so keep your eyes on the economic calendar today. But looking at this pair, looking at the EURCAD, so after it reversed here to the upside in the end of September, it kind of started drifting slightly to the upside, even though it seems like maybe it's just moving sideways, but it has a little tilt to the upside. And something else that I really wanted to quickly put here on the chart, and we do have ourselves a potential upside channel here. Now, let me just quickly, short-term one, but nevertheless an upside channel. So I did have a few overshoots, but nevertheless, yep, as you can see, this is this is something that we've got ourselves here. That's wonderful. Looks quite good. Looks quite almost accurate. Well, actually, almost accurate actually. But as you can see, after finding, or should I say, after hitting the upper side of this channel, the the pair at the same time it confirmed the rising channel and started drifting lower, and it fell below all of its EMAs here on the 4-hour chart. So this kind of creates this little slightly bearish atmosphere, at least in the short run. Now and this is exactly where we're going to be targeting. Basically, if we get a drop below the yesterday's lows near the 1.4540 zone, this in a way could lead towards slightly lower areas. It could test the lower bound of the rising channel, and then we could see what it wants to do after that. If it wants to rebound and push back to the upside, that's wonderful. Kind of would confirm the rising channel again, and then yep, we could aim for the upside. But for now, in a way, how we could play this one out is that you can see that it's currently trading above its pivot. So yep, that's in a way could be seen as a positive, but for today, of course, but it's still below all of its EMAs. Now, if it travels a little bit higher but fails to move above all of its EMAs here, then we could see something like this happening, basically, where the pair could retrace back down, or should I say turn back down, move back towards the 1.4540 zone, and if it fails to provide decent support, its break could open the path towards the lower side of the rising channel. So that's why I keep your eyes on this idea. But if this pair starts pushing above all of its EMAs and pushes above the Wednesday's highs near the 1.4614 zone, now this is where it could become a little bit more interesting for the buyers again, and as this could open the path back up here towards the upper side of the rising channel. So we'll keep an eye on this one, but we'll keep an eye on this barrier first. So the 1.4614 could in a way lead towards slightly higher levels inside this rising channel. So let's keep an eye on this one. It's quite interesting, like I said, and it could be quite interesting during the data release. But as always, I always tell everybody, don't trade before the release. Try to see how the market will react, and then react yourself. And the last pair for this session is going to be euro dollar. Now, working out perfectly. Yesterday I talked about this one, and to be honest, the whole week I was talking about this one. We got our drop below the 1.1063 yesterday. You can see that kind of worked out nicely. It drifted all the way down, but failed to reach our target near the 1.1021. Still, we stick to that target. In a way, you can see as long as it remains below the 1.1063, we will continue targeting the downside. And in a way, like I said, we're not going to drag this one too much to the downside for now, because we already had a decent slide this week. So we're just going to target the 1.1021. If it wants to break this level, then yep, that's wonderful. The next target for us is around the psychological 110 zone, or the 1.0989. But again, this level here presents us a nice opportunity here to maybe stall for USD, maybe rebound back to the upside. So that's why we're only going to target this 1.1021 zone. If this pushes back above the 1.1063, we could consider maybe a move higher. The only thing is that all this territory for us will be a bit of a tricky one, because now looking at this picture, ideally we would like to see a push above this downside line and a push above the 1.1103 before examining higher levels. Okay, guys, I ran a little bit over my time, so but anyway, thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me later on at my Trader's Tea Time, as always, that's 14:15 GMT. We'll have a look at some of these instruments again and see how everything kind of performed. But for now, guys, I hope you have a safe trading day. Be careful. Don't trade the news. Try to react to the news releases. So don't try to predict them. Like I said, it's better to kind of see first, wait for the data to come out, and then make your move. But again, always have your stop loss in place, guys, and be very careful. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, guys. Please join me later on at my Trader's Tea Time, 14:15 GMT, and we'll have a look at some of these instruments again and some new ones. And yep. But thank you very much, and bye-bye.